in this environment, everything is being sold off. And when everything is being sold off, people are indiscriminate. And when you have that situation occurring, I think what you ultimately create is value buys, and things come on sale.
This week's special is 1 ounce silver Britannias for only $4.50 over spot. Here at Liberty in Finance, we are licensed brokers with Miles Franklin Precious Metal Investments. We are standing by the inventory, taking orders into the wee hours of the night and on weekends, because preparedness doesn't stop. Call us at 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237.
Welcome back to Liberty in Finance. We're glad to have this returning guest. Alastair Still is the CEO of GoldMining.com. He joins us this Tuesday, July 5th, 2022, ahead of the Rule Symposium on Natural Resources Investing, which will happen later this month in Boca Raton, Florida. Alastair, thanks for coming back on.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on today.
Our guests have frequently been from those who have been selected by Rick Rule to participate in that conference, because as he tries to keep us on the right side of sort of separating the chaff from the wheat on companies that truly have, in his view, strong balance sheets, strong track records of management teams, strong chances of delivering outsized results in this otherwise very confusing and topsy-turvy environment. In fact, you and I were just talking about how the markets have been very choppy and volatile recently, punishing both metals and miners alike and explorers and so on. And yet, as Rick Rule says, as a contrarian, if you understand the intrinsic value of things that are tangible or have real lasting value, you get excited when the prices go on sale. So could we start there and tell us about your macro view of the current market value environment for both miners and metals?
I think you've summed it up well, and that in this environment, everything is being sold off. And when everything is being sold off, people are indiscriminate. And when you have that situation occurring, I think what you ultimately create is value buys, and things come on sale, not because there's anything wrong with that entity, but because there's a broad sell-off. And I think particularly in the gold equities, where the price of gold has remained relatively flat, certainly off a bit today on time of this recording, but relatively flat while the rest of the market is sold off, that means the fundamental for gold equity stocks are still there, especially for a company like GoldMining, which has a very strong balance sheet, very experienced team, and such a diversified portfolio of projects throughout the Americas, which add up to some 32 million gold equivalent ounces, unheard of for a company our size in our space.
Now, when you visited us in the past, you promised to help give us some updates from the trenches, or from the drill bit, I guess I would say, of some of your ongoing exploration, and you're broadening the definitions of some of your resources, and that defines and clarifies more value for shareholders and potentially drives more interest for potential shareholders. Can you bring us up to date on your latest developments in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been active on a few fronts. Certainly on core projects, we're continuing to unlock value there, because we always draw on the analogy, we have a large portfolio. On a portfolio basis, on a per ounce basis, it's not getting a lot of attention in the market, certainly not getting the valuation any of our peers have anywhere close to them. So we have to show people that the value is real and tangible in those assets. And take one example is our Lamina project in Colombia. We announced a PEA study earlier this year, showed very strong economics, would produce over 1 million gold equivalent ounces over a 10-year period with a solid economic return. But on top of that, we saw exploration potential immediately adjacent to the existing resources. There was a target called La Garucha. There were some limited drill holes in the past, but never taken to a resource. So for our first drill program for our company, we moved into La Garucha, right on the core part, beside the core resources at Lamina. We started drilling in April this year. We've just announced some very exciting drill holes from that, including 345 meters at a grade well above 0.7 gram per ton gold equivalent. So a solid grade of gold and copper. It's not a nuggety gold system. It's very consistent throughout. So we're very encouraged by that. We have a few more holes we're drilling there. We'll have those results out soon, and we aim to put a new resource on that later this year. So that's just one example of a project moving forward. And if I turn the table onto our broader portfolio, where we can stay focused on our best assets, we've also just announced the announcement of a transaction, and today we announced that it's closed. One of our non-core assets was the Almaden project in Idaho. We only acquired the project in 2020 for about $1 million Canadian. We announced the transaction. We've closed the transaction now to realize $16.5 million on that investment with a company called NevGold. We're partnering with them. They have an experienced exploration team in the region. They'll take it and move it forward. And as our shareholders stand to benefit by their success, we all gain because we have a significant equity position in NevGold now. So that's a great win-win that we're partnering with NevGold on one of our projects that was non-core for us. Let's just stay focused on our key projects.
And in addition to all of this current activity and news flow that you've got in the current summer season of exploration and so on, you're also one of the slated speakers at the upcoming Rule Symposium on natural resources investing in Boca Raton, Florida. And oh, folks, by the way, look in the description of this video and you'll see a link so you can register for the conference, and you'll be supporting our channel along the way. But Alastair, it's not just every company that gets to go and be a participant in that conference. Rick Rule has stressed with us when he's visited us that it's by invitation only. And in fact, it's even more exclusive than that. It's companies that either he or Sprott accounts are directly invested in. They've already been vetted by him. They've already been selected by him as among the best of the potential field of investable natural resource companies out there. And that's why he invites them to come to the conference. So if you could give our audience kind of a foreshadowing of some of the themes that you expect that you will be addressing at the conference. We don't want you to, we don't want to steal your thunder from the conference, but if you could at least give people whet their appetite or give them a taste of what they might be looking forward to hearing from you when you speak there at the end of the month.
Well, I think it's a great reference, and it shows a strong endorsement when people like Rick Rule and the Sprott Group recognize value, and they invite people to their conferences and invest in our companies. But one theme I'll give away is this continued theme of unlocking value, and nothing better than unlocking value in this environment is to do it all homegrown, all within the USA. So we have created a new subsidiary called US GoldMining Inc. We have a terrific project in Alaska. It's got close to 10 million gold equivalent ounces. It's only about 100 kilometers from Anchorage. The state is looking at funding a road to access it. So we've got a very strong project with strong technical base to discover more and define more. The state's looking at developing that region. It's made in the USA. It's a great opportunity that we can move forward and unlock value with a new entity we're creating called US GoldMining Inc. And we'll have some more details on that for sure at the upcoming Rick Rule Symposium.
Now, for people who do choose to attend the symposium in person, they will be able to meet you in person?
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to be there. It's the first show for me. I look forward to meeting many of our shareholders and potential shareholders. Happy to discuss any of our projects or investment opportunities, and I think it's a great venue. It should be fun.
That's one of the things that I think Rick talks about that's not obvious. When people think about conferences and learning, they certainly think about going home with copious brochures or pamphlets or notes or that sort of thing, or listening to speakers and getting a feel for the company or the leadership or how the person that they're listening to is presenting and speaking and that sort of thing. But with technology and so on, we've had a lot of that so available to us through media like this, social, online, streaming media and so on, podcasting, that it can seem like, well, why do I need to go and be in there in person? But as you mentioned, someone can come up and talk with you, ask you their personal, individual questions that are specifically the things that they're watching for, maybe concerned about, things that might not be being asked by announcers such as myself, who are on their behalf. I'm trying to sit on the behalf of all of our viewers, over 71,000 subscribers here, and try to ask you the right questions that will help answer most of their questions. But when people come to realize that by meeting you in person, they can get their personal questions directly answered, it's a pretty exciting opportunity, and you'll be one of many at the conference, so that goes across the board there. As you look to a conference like this, I'm imagining you'll have takeaways that may influence your perspective on the macro environment, where the industry leading thinkers are focusing their attention, and have you had that kind of thought process around what you imagine might be additional synergistic takeaways, potential collaborative partners for your company, potential buyout candidates in the future, that kind of thing, things that you might be looking for to benefit from personally and as a company by participating directly in this conference as well?
Well, it's a great question. I think anytime you go to a conference, you need to look at what you're going to take away from it. And I'll give an example. We recently had a booth set up at the PDAC conference in Toronto. Totally different scale, totally different setup there. There was over 15,000 people. So you lose a lot of the personal feel, but you cover a lot of ground. What I like about this upcoming Rick Rule conference is that you get to talk face-to-face with people. So you find out what their concerns are, what their questions are. You can deal with them individually. But it's also an opportunity that I can go one-on-one with many of the companies and peers out there who may be looking for a project or may have a synergy next door. And much like we just announced a transaction with NevGold, who are exploring near our Idaho project, we found a good fit there. We made a good win-win situation. There may be other opportunities out there like that. And I'm always out there to learn. And if someone is presenting something and presents their project and say, hey, wow, that looks pretty interesting, maybe that's a fit for us. Those are the type of opportunities I'll be looking at, as many of the investors at the conference will be looking for too.
Right. That's one of the mysteries about, it's not a zero sum. It really is a win-win-win. Obviously, the conference organizers are looking for a win for themselves just as an event itself, but the attendees are going to have perspectives opened up for them that may be eye-opening opportunities that will change their financial future and that of their family going forward. And a lot of the exhibitors benefit, again, from that exposure to all those inquiring potential investors, et cetera, and potential business partners as well. So we really look forward, everyone who's watching this, look forward to seeing you in person at the Rule Symposium on Natural Resources Investing. Again, the link is in the description of this video, so you can sign up, register for the conference, and join us. Meet me, Dunnigan Kaiser, personally there, as well as Alastair Still, CEO of GoldMining, and Rick Rule, and a host of other selected companies. I guess, Alastair, before we wrap, I wanted to give you a chance to personally invite people to reach out in the way that you think is going to be the most effective for them to find out more about your company.
Well, absolutely. I think if anyone is attending the conference, please stop by the booth that we have set up. I'll be there much of the time. If I'm not there, please leave a name and contact, and I'll be happy to reach out. People can also go to our website, www.goldmining.com, for more information or to sign up for the newsletter. But by all means, ask the questions. Do the homework, do the due diligence. Rick Rule and his team, they dig deep into these companies. They've screened them already. So, I encourage investors to do the same. And I'm more than happy to talk, whether it's a financial level, technical level, whatever questions or concerns people might have. Love to hear them. And that's the best way to get the answers, is to go right to the source.
Well, the other thing I just remembered that Rick talks to us about is in an environment where there is mispricing, and there's also a quote, I believe it was from Warren Buffett, called the Oracle of Omaha, one of the most legendary investors of the last century or so, talking about that volatility creates mispricing and mispricing creates opportunities. Is that if you have something of intrinsic value, whether it's physical metal or whether you're sitting on top of a gold mine, literally, and defining that resource by drilling it, that you've got something of lasting value there, and that the markets in the short term are a voting machine, but in the long term they're a weighing machine. So you want to make your move when it's contrary to, be a contrarian investor, and make your move when others are running. You want to run in rather when others are running out. So it's an interesting time. We don't know how long this sort of choppy, volatile, and potentially bear market will last in the overall equities, but as Rick Rule has often reminded us, mining companies, eventually people realize, are different in nature from many other companies in that they are a productive asset to participate in times of, when intrinsic value and the value of commodities becomes king. So it's going to be a very interesting next several years, and it's a very opportune time right now for people to educate themselves so they can make aware choices that really could transform their family's financial future. One last chance to to address our subscribers and audience before we let you go?
Well, and again, just to support your comment there, I think in these turbulent times, for millennia, people have turned to gold as a store of value. It's a hedge against inflation. And even better way to invest in the metal beyond just the physical metal is to be highly levered to the metal. A company like GoldMining with 32 million ounces in the ground in resources, it's a great opportunity at these prices to get some stability in the portfolio and to really bet on a physical asset rather than something which is, arbitrary in definition, like a cryptocurrency might be, where there's not a lot of certainty what happens at the end of the day if people no longer want that trend or that currency. But gold has stood the test of time, and I encourage people to really keep that diversity in their portfolio.
Alastair Still, CEO of GoldMining.com. Thank you on behalf of all of our viewers for joining us again here on Liberty and Finance.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Miles Franklin Precious Metals is one of America's oldest and most trusted bullion dealers. Miles Franklin is A+ rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, licensed and bonded, and has 0 complaints ever registered. Here at Liberty and Finance, we are licensed brokers with Miles Franklin. To order, simply call us, discuss your needs, and we will let you know our live inventory, prices, and availability, and lock in your order over the phone. Once your order is locked, the price is held for you regardless of market fluctuations, and the metals are reserved for you awaiting your settled payment. Within 1 business day of ordering, you will receive an email invoice detailing the order and payment instructions. Miles Franklin accepts payments by bank wire, ACH or electronic check, money order, check mailed priority mail, and cryptocurrency. The fastest forms of payment are bank wire and cryptocurrency. Upon settled payment, metals will ship out within 3 to 5 business days. You will receive tracking information via email. Domestic shipping charges are $15 for any order under 500 ounces of silver or 10 ounces of gold. For orders larger than that, domestic shipping is free. The package will be double boxed, fully insured, and labeled discreetly, with no indication of the contents inside. For your privacy, the name Miles Franklin will not even be on the package. To talk to myself, Elijah, my brother Kaiser, or my father Dunnigan, call 1-888-81-LIBERTY. That's 1-888-815-4237.